It was an election full of surprises. DeSantis rode the red wave like a boss, but did we actually have a red wave? I mean, Republicans are already expecting resounding victories in the House and Senate, but instead, as the night wore on, President Biden's party proved far more resilient than Democrats had reason to hope for, given issues like abortion rights and general distaste for most extreme candidates play an important role. But with power expected to be divided between the two parties, Washington will enter a period of policy-making gridlock. Republicans will almost certainly take the House, but by a much smaller margin than expected, while Democrats will almost certainly retain control of the Senate. Well, the red wave ran dry. Democrats avoided a total thrashing, which some polls predicted as a possibly heading into Tuesday. However, a small Republican majority in the House means 2 tough years for Kevin McCarthy if he becomes the next Speaker of the House. He'll have to navigate a restless and at times careless caucus that is eager to hold the power of the majority and unwilling to deal with Biden. Besides a better than expected night for Democrats, it gives them more edge in the final 2 years of the current administration. In the so-called lame duck session, the two parties try to reach agreements on a variety of policy matters, such as child care, credit, energy permitting business tax cuts, and possibly the debt limit to stop Republicans from coming perilously close to economic default next year. The 2024 race, as you know, our former president Donald Trump wanted to strengthen his hold on the Republican Party, betting that the candidates he had personally endorsed and who supported this baseless claim that 2020 election was stolen from him would do well and make him an undisputed nominee for 2024. But there were 2 obstacles. One, several of these election denialists fared poorly. Democrat John Fetterman defeated celebrity Dr. Oz, backed by Trump, in one of the Senate's most contentious races. Seems fishy to me. Second is Ron DeSantis, easily secured a second term as governor of Florida. That makes it possible for him to oppose Trump's bid for presidency. That cheeky smile he gave in response to the chance of 2 more years during his campaign event did indeed speak volume. But of course, Trump recognizes the threat and issued a warning shot to his rival. If he runs, he could hurt himself very badly. He even added, Trump himself will tell us things about him that aren't very flattering. The troubled economy. Voters in both parties eventually appeared to understand the impact of the inflation on our economy. It was the top issue in exit polls, with 79% saying it had caused struggles for their family. Furthermore, the rate of inflation is at its highest in a generation, eroding purchasing power and ranking high on the voter concern list along with the general state of our economy. Nevertheless, many of the voters did appear to hold Biden or the Democrats accountable. 42% of respondents said they still had faith in the Democrats to handle the situation more effectively. But we all know that the Democrats and the Republicans have each presented radically different portraits of the state of the economy. The GOP blamed Biden and his party for the rising cost of living at the center of the campaign. Meanwhile, Biden and his party have affirmed the historically low unemployment rate and the ongoing hiring boom that has supported consumer spending. On the other hand, a divided government has historically been advantageous for markets because it prevents any significant legislation that could jeopardize the outlook for our economy. But inflation-fighting efforts by the Fed have already ravaged investors this year. Of course, there will be less of a reason for Fed Chair Jerome Powell to raise interest rates further if Democrats are unable to pass significant fiscal measures. Now, moving to the unforeseen part. Increasing diversity. With Maura Healey will become the first openly lesbian governor in the United States after easily winning her election in the New England state of Massachusetts. In neighboring New Hampshire, James Rosner became the state's legislature's first openly transgender man, joining a number of trans women already in office. Wes Moore, the first black governor of Maryland, has elected in the mid-Atlantic state, and his rising profile has summoned the U.S. political class discussing a possible national run. And in Florida, Maxwell Frost, 25 years old, was elected as the first member of the U.S. House from the so-called Generation Z. Isn't it surprisingly controversial? Well, I believe so, but The most controversial part is abortion rights advocacy, which many voters, particularly women, were concerned about abortion rights. Following the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision to roll back federal protections, people from Michigan to California overwhelmingly expressed support for abortion rights at the state level. With that, Michigan and California will now amend their constitutions to include the right to choose abortion and contraception. The success of state-level abortion protections demonstrates the public's widespread dissatisfaction with the Supreme Court, which overturned 50 years of precedent in June by deferring abortion rights decisions to the states. So the widespread support for these ballot measures in a number of states is likely to spur similar efforts in other jurisdictions in the coming years. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching my videos. If you got any questions, please leave a comment down below. Feel free to give me a like and subscribe if you can, and I'll see you in the next video.